We will get started here in a minute or two. I know Stefan's hopping on right now. He had some issues with his internet connecting.
No,
So,
here I'm on. I'm on.
oh, you are. All right.
But I think you're just waiting for more people to join.
No, I was waiting for you.
Sorry. Yeah.
Cool. So we got about 155 people on, which is awesome. I think that was more than we even had last time. So today's call is going to be all about leads. And for people who are not familiar with leads, the lead is like the first, let's say, 2 to 3 pages of a long form sales letter. It could be a little more. If you're looking at a video, it's like the first, a VSL, it's like the first minute or 2 minutes. The cool thing about leads is that you can simply swap out one lead for another and get huge conversion boost. I mistakenly used to write entire new offers before I learned about leads, which is a huge waste of time. And you could literally, like I said, you can revive dead offers. You could take offers that are kind of mediocre and turn them into winners. Stefan did this for one of the V-Shred offers where it was kind of a mediocre offer. Then Stefan rewrote the lead and beat the current control by about 72%. And that offer went from doing like, I don't know, 10, 20 sales a day to now it's doing like 1,500 sales a day. Huge difference. And that was all just with rewriting 2 to 3 pages of the lead. So, like I said, the lead is, in my opinion, and probably in Stefan's opinion, the most important part of copy on the page. If you had to look at every kind of block of copy on the page and how important it is, the lead is without a doubt the most important, because if you have page 4 through 24 that are amazing, but page 1 through 4 are mediocre, page 4 through 24 is not going to get read. That's really what it boils down to. And the one thing to really keep in mind is people don't have to read your copy. A lot of people forget this. Like they have distractions getting on Instagram. They have distractions with someone texting them. They have distractions with someone's email. You're competing with that at every single second that someone's reading your sales letter or watching your VSL. So that's why you have to hook them really hard and really quick in order to keep them reading. So we're going to go over kind of Stefan's perfect lead formula today. He is without a doubt a master at this. And I've seen him break down leads in our Copy Accelerator program for our members. And he's going to do kind of similar here and showing you really good examples of leads that work and leads that don't work. Before we jump all the way in, we'll do a quick introduction for the people on the call who don't really know Stefan and I that well. So I'll introduce Stefan because I'm really bad at talking myself up, and Stefan's the same way. So in my opinion, Stefan is the #1 copywriter in the world right now. I always say him and Craig Clemens are probably neck and neck as #1 in terms of the number of offers they've written that are working on cold traffic. That's kind of how I judge copywriters. By the way, if you are on the call and you are not muted, please mute yourself. So if you look at copywriters in general, the best copywriters make offers work on cold traffic. Anybody can really write something that works on a back end to a house email list, but trying to make something work on cold traffic is actually really freaking hard. In order to do that, you have to be a really damn good copywriter. And Stefan, kind of time after time, everything he's writing right now is working on cold traffic. And it really doesn't even matter on the niche. He's doing it in health. He's doing it in survival. He's done it in biz op. He's done it in personal development, kind of all over the map. So what he's going to kind of teach us really works everywhere. Probably one of the most amazing things too about Stefan is the fact that he writes copy so fast because he writes it to a system. It's something I've actually always struggled with as a copywriter because I never wrote to a system. I kind of just was a free flowing, kind of felt things out and wrote. But I've learned and I've kind of drank the Kool-Aid on Stefan's RMBC method because I've seen the results firsthand when he coaches people in our Copy Accelerator program. People who can barely write a lick of copy, just follow the formula straight up and down and pump out sales letters that work damn near every single time. So it's pretty impressive. So anyways, that's about Stefan. I'll let Stefan intro me for a little bit.
Yeah, I hate going after Justin because he's so complimentary that then I have to follow that. So, but I mean, really, like, if you guys don't know Justin, he's one of the smartest guys in all of marketing. He's absolutely brilliant. He's a wildly successful copywriter, both on front ends and acquisitions. So from his time with Four Patriots, which he was a partner at and helped to grow from 0 to $23 million in revenue and within 2 years. But he's also a obsessive tester. And so whether it's running split tests on front end acquisition or on checkout pages, anything like that, like he's tested pretty much everything you can imagine. And he's able to like share what works and what doesn't work, and has a really keen eye for making small tweaks that lead to really large conversions. On top of that, Justin's absolutely excellent at his upsells. That's if he has kind of if he's drinking the Kool-Aid on my RMBC method, which is my framework for writing sales letters and sales copy, I've drinking the Kool-Aid on what Justin does with upsells on the back end. He has a whole system for that, something we also teach in Copy Accelerator. And it is pretty silly. He takes people who are getting 15%, 20% take rates on upsells and gets them to 40 and 50% with their upsells. And it's just a few little things that he does, and frankly, we should probably do a call on that at some point for you guys, but it's pretty unbelievable. And then finally, Justin is really, really, really strong with his email creatives too, because going back to like really ad copy in general, but especially when you apply it to email creatives, because he's just tested so many freaking emails that he is just like, he knows what works, he knows what doesn't, and he just gives you so much value. So I'm thrilled that Justin's my partner in Copy Accelerator. I think we're very complementary in our skill sets together. And yeah, man, just happy to be here.
Awesome. So we got about 190 people on this call, which is amazing. So we're going to get started. A couple ground rules for the call. Like I said, please keep yourself on mute. This is an open Zoom call. It's not a webinar where we can kind of like control everything. So if you are not talking, there's an echo going on somewhere. If you are not talking, which nobody should be talking besides Stefan and I, please keep yourself on mute. And then if you want to chime in the chat, you can do that. And then at some point, we will do a brief moment of kind of Q&A. And at that point, you can kind of unmute yourself and ask us questions. But for now, I'm going to turn it over to Stefan because he's going to be teaching the majority of this call. Like I said, he is, in my opinion, the #1 copywriter in the world right now. And what he's teaching on leads has the ability to make you a boatload of money and get your copy really converting. So not only if you have your own offers, if you're a freelancer, it's highly, highly recommended that you get out a piece of paper, take some notes, turn your phone off, and kind of put all your attention on what he's teaching.
Cool. Well, thank you so much, Justin, for the awesome intro there. I'm gonna go ahead and share my screen right now. Give me 1 second, because I just got a new MacBook and apparently I have to actually allow Zoom to show my screen. Give me 1 second, make sure this works. Sorry guys, I know this is a momentary technical difficulty here, but I should have thought about this with the new MacBook, but I just figured Zoom would work when it did. Let me try again here. Share screen. There we go. Cool. Can you guys all see my screen now? Are you able to see it, Justin? Yep. Okay, perfect. So yeah, and then I'm not gonna be looking at the questions as much. So Justin, if people have questions, just chime in. But what we're gonna talk about today is I'm gonna kind of do this through the framework of like 5 really common mistakes that I see people making when it comes to their leads. And I was recently kind of doing an email series about this to my list, and it was really well received. But the thing is, like, because Justin and I through Copy Accelerator look at so much copy. I mean, we look at like dozens of sales letters each and every like week, or definitely every month. So you kind of see these same mistakes popping up again and again. So today I'm going to share kind of what those big mistakes are with you guys. And then on top of that, we'll look at examples that have those mistakes. So the first one that I have here is burying the lead, which can also be called throat clearing. And I'm going to open up the chat actually in case so I can share links with you guys on some of this stuff as we're going here. I'm not sure if I'll share the Word document or not, but I will. I'll share some of the stuff here. But basically, throat clearing is really just like where people are instead of getting to like the big idea or the hook or whatever's going to capture someone's attention in the lead, instead of that, they sort of start just talking about they clear their throat. They're sort of saying stuff that's not actually that important or vital. It's almost like they're stalling, all that kind of stuff here. So, if like I'll show you just a quick example. This is one I found. I was kind of going through ClickBank and frankly trying to find some examples that weren't health related, but yeah. Like, so if you look at, this is for a like an investing one, trading code, and how to be on the winning side of the next great transfer of wealth. But if you go to kind of the sales letter here, okay, so in the near future, millions of Americans and citizens of other countries around the world are going to lose massive amounts of money and wealth. Meanwhile, others are going to become very wealthy during the same period of time. Keep reading to discover how you can be on the winning side of this great transfer of wealth. So that's kind of like the main headline for the text version, at least. But if we get to the actual copy in the lead here, you know what you'll see. So it's like, dear friend, to say that a lot of people were surprised by the outcome of the U.S. presidential election would be an understatement. Now, what we're seeing in the aftermath of the event is a lot of fear. There is fear on many levels about a lot of things. We're not going to talk about most of those things because that's not what this letter is about. This is also not about politics, and really it's not about Trump either. There is one particular concern that I would like to address, and that is, during the time that Trump is president of the United States, what is going to happen with the stock market, the U.S. economy, and the global economy, question mark. I'm going to answer that question on this page. But just to be clear, the information on this page is neither for or against Trump. We're simply going to look at some facts. I believe that in the near future, millions of Americans and citizens of other countries around the world are going to lose massive amounts of wealth. That is something to be concerned about. So basically, yeah, this part right here is like where the actual kind of big idea or the lead is and where it should start. This whole part here is just wasted copy, basically. Right? They're just sort of like, it's just sort of, they're trying to be conversational, I guess, but it just is not, it loses you right away. And I guess they wanted to,
Stefan, your audio
yeah,
cut
cut
out.
out. I got back, sorry. Maybe they're trying to do some, maybe they were worried about people who were pro-Trump. They're almost afraid of being polarizing or something, I guess. So they kept trying to be like, you know, it doesn't matter if you like Trump or not, but like, frankly, they just totally screwed up here. It's a total missed opportunity. Fact, Donald Trump was elected the 45th president of the United States of America, whether you like it or not. Fact, mainstream media. So even a bunch of this stuff, like, it just does not, like, this lead just doesn't do it for me. And I pulled it from like the, I don't know, like middle of like the pack of ClickBank. So, you know, not from the first page, and probably with good reason. But yeah, so that's the example again of burying the lead or throat clearing, and it's just not good, right? So then for an example, I guess, of what a more positive version of it may look like, this is for a stem cell offer I did for some guys, for some clients. And this is, I shared this at our last event in September. I actually broke this whole sales letter down line by line. This is a product called Stem Cell Restore. But I'll show you guys kind of the headline and then a little bit of the lead here. And you can see if there's like a kind of where the difference is, right? So the headline I had was like, you know, like a time capsule in a bottle. New stem cell breakthrough doesn't just pause the aging process, it rewinds it. Imagine going back in time to when you're the healthiest, sharpest, most radiant version of yourself and staying that way for the rest of your life. It's not science fiction, it's the power of stem cell science. Keep reading this report to see why experts believe this is the closest we'll ever get to a real life fountain of youth, plus a remarkable story of how 22 Nobel Prize-winning scientists came together to get this discovery to the public, and why even though A-list celebrities and pro athletes have been paying $100,000 per year for this youth-preserving breakthrough, you can try it today for pennies. And then we come in here like, you know, dear friend, did you ever bury a time capsule as a kid? If you were to dig up today, you would find a snapshot of what your life was like when you were young. What I want to tell you about today is being referred to by many health experts as a time capsule in a bottle because it represents the latest breakthrough in ethical stem cell science, something that comes in the form of a single tiny and easy to swallow pill. And each time you take one of these little time capsules, it sends your body on a journey back in time, so you start to look and feel like you did when you were young. In fact, right now, even as you read this, people across the world are tapping into the newest advances in stem cell science, and is surprised to discover that aching, screaming joints are suddenly soothed and calm, as if the pain they've dealt with for years vanishes before their eyes. Physically, they become the very picture of youth with dewy, radiant, permanently glowing skin. They often experience the elimination of wrinkles around their eyes, under their chin, on the sides of their mouth. They see new hair sprouting up from their head with a full, glossy sheen. Sometimes they even need to change their shampoo and conditioner. And they find that their nails grow faster, thicker, and healthier than at any point in their life. And while these changes to their physical appearance may seem astounding, they barely scratch the surface of what the latest advances in stem cell science can do. So basically, yeah, this is my script. This isn't the sales letter, so don't worry about it, Tony. Please see.
Let's pause right there. I want to make sure everybody's grasping this. Does everybody see the difference between the first lead that Stefan shared and this lead? Type a pop a yes in there. Yeah. Can you see how much quicker this one just grabs you and you want to keep reading? Whereas the first one, it's like it's just mumbling and rambling on for like 4 or 5 sentences, trying to like set things up. And like Stefan calls it clearing your throat. Some people call it like trying to set it up. The reality is that when you try to set things up and when you try to like put these like, I don't know, build up sentences almost, like you don't grab the person. And like we said, you got to keep in mind that you're fighting for their attention every second. So if you don't grab them right away, like just the difference in that first one, if that person was to eliminate those first like 5 or 6 sentences, there would probably be a pretty huge conversion boost if they just got rid of those first 5 sentences and started with a line that really just grabbed you right out of the gate.
Yeah, even if the first line was like, "Dear friend, I believe that in the near future, millions of Americans and citizens of other countries around the world are going to lose massive amounts of wealth." That's something to be concerned about, which I don't think they need this kind of parenthetical part, because obviously it's concerning. But even if they just started with this as like the first line, sorry, but like this was the first line, I think the conversions would increase significantly. And to Justin's point, I mean, that's the whole thing, right? It's like, this is like, small changes to your lead can just make a massive impact to conversions. Going back to that burn, kind of sales letter, right? It's like I dissected that on our previous call that we did our free kind of training, and like I changed some stuff, but like I actually didn't even change that much. But what I changed led to that massive increase and got them to be able to scale quite a bit here. So I know someone asked like, how would you rewrite it, Adil? But yeah, really, I mean, I'd probably be starting with just something about the law, like the potential of a loss, and just sort of hooking them and talking about like, I don't know, maybe teasing an emotional story and some fascinations, which we're going to get to, and some other things like that. Justin, should I answer questions now, you think, or do you want me to kind of keep going?
I would keep rolling. If there's something that's really useful, I'll stop and kind of chime in. But I think just keep rolling, and
Okay.
I'll cut you off when needed.
Okay, cool. So the second kind of big lead mistake I see people making a lot of the time is like using a bunch of statistics in the lead. This one's probably the most common one I see. And it's just, the reason not to do it really is because your whole goal is you're trying to speak to a singular prospect. You're trying to make it feel like you're having a one-on-one conversation, with the prospect, and you're relating to them. So when you give them broad general statistics, really, like, they don't care, right? They don't care that 100 million people have diabetes or pre-diabetes. They don't care that the average investor only sees an XY, small percent return. They don't care about any of those things. They care about themselves and what's in it for them. And so going really heavy on the statistics in the lead just doesn't really serve any purpose or help you. And I kind of talk about, appealing, when you make that mistake, you're appealing to the brain instead of to the heart, right? So the example I have for this, I don't know if it's the next one up here, was an acid reflux letter I just found on ClickBank as well, which I'll kind of, let me see if I have the right place for here. Basically, like, I'm not going to go through the entire lead, but pretty early on, the guy's talking about how his wife had acid reflux, and that part's kind of like fine, right? Here's like the link to this one I'm talking about right now. You don't anticipate this kind of shock when seeing medical advice for acid reflux, do you? Yes, heartburn makes your life miserable. It robs you of sleep. It ruins your meals, embarrasses you with burp and gas outbursts in the worst places. At worst, you fear ulcer, probably an ulcer, which is of course horrible, but death, you don't expect that. If you frequently suffer heartburn, you should, however, prepare for the worst. I tell you why. I mean, English isn't great on this anyway, but it wasn't that far back in the health things of ClickBank. It was maybe on like the 5th or 6th page. Not being able to sleep that night. I Googled the health risks of acid reflux. What I found was terrifying. Recent studies prove that acid reflux is the #1 cause of not just 1 or 2, but 6 types of fatal cancers. And we're talking strong connections. Heartburn increases the risk of cancer, 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 cancer. Sum it all up, that's 1,345% more likely to get 26 cancers than a person who doesn't suffer from heartburn. On this one, like, I get they're kind of trying to like make you feel like your heartburn is bigger than just having heartburn. They're trying to make it like broader. So I understand what they're trying to do there, but there's actually 2 mistakes with that. One is, you don't really add up, like, that's not how math works right here. It turns out, and the logic's really shitty. But also sometimes there's a thing where you're like, oh, how do I get people to care about like heartburn? And it's like, well, I'll tell them that they're going to get cancer. But even then, like, the prospect, isn't sitting here watching or reading your thing because they're worried about cancer, right? They're worried about their heartburn and their indigestion and things like that. And so if we were talking about, yeah, DEF isn't a pain point for people with acid reflux, as Rich just said. And so, you know, but again, I do actually see that a lot where people start sharing stats about, you know, something with heart disease, like blood pressure offers. People kind of try and take it to like statistics about how many people get heart disease and die of heart attacks and things like that. And it just like isn't quite like, it's just not the time to do it. You've got to find something more immediate and urgent. And yeah, maybe Blue Heron is, I have no idea. Alex Clark asked if they're a big company, but yeah, so I see this one a lot. I don't know if I wish I had more examples of it. Like I just kind of pulling this all together.
Stefan,
But
one thing I want to chime in with. So Evaldo, who is the top financial copywriter at Agora right now, at the last event I was at, shared a study where they compared donations for nonprofits. And one was people were told a very emotional story about sick kids in Africa. I think it was specifically about one kid, a very sick kid in Africa. And here's the story, and you can donate money to helping them. The other group was given just all the facts about kids who are hungry in Africa. And they measured the amount of money that came in after hearing those things. And at the end of the day, it was literally like the average donation was like $2.20 for hearing just the emotional story. And the people who heard only the facts donated like $1. So it was literally like twice as much money came in from the emotional story than from hearing the facts. And that kind of ties in exactly what Stefan's showing here. Facts do not persuade people. Facts are not interesting. They don't grab people. They don't emotionally move you. They're just flat. They're very, very flat. They're like very medically based. Like there's nothing that like stirs you up. Whereas if you heard a story about acid reflux that was like terrifying and had you on the edge of your seat while watching it or reading it, that is going to motivate you a whole lot more.
yeah, I again completely agree. There is, you know, as you're asking, don't you want to include facts and statistics in the body copy? Yeah, I mean you do, but more so within reason, one, and then second of all, it's later on in the copy, if anything. That's the thing. It's not that you can't have any statistics in your sales letter. Yeah, you just, the lead's not really the place for them, because as soon as you start talking about, you know, these broad statistics of like, you know, 1 in 3 Americans, like something you'll just see where it's just the whole lead is like 1 in 3 Americans do this, and did you know that 40% of people do? And it's like they don't care about that. They care about their particular problem, and they want to like, you know that you are understand their problem, that you're promising a potentially credible solution, and then ideally if you can hook them emotionally on top of all of that, that's really like where you're going to thrive versus coming with stats. Now later on, sure, you can be like a couple of statistics, but at no point are you going really heavy on the statistical side. And a lot of people are asking about this recording, and but we'll see. We may send it out. I'm not sure yet, but for now we'll kind of keep going here. So here's a positive example. This is just one that I'm running right now with my partner and some of my health offers, Cody Bramlett, and it was written by not by me, but by a copywriter, Chris Wright, who is a super good copywriter. He he's really good. I changed some stuff on this one from his original version. I did kind of copy edit just because of like for compliance and some other stuff like that, and to kind of make it a little bit gentler. So I've given a full breakdown of this one. I did that for our Copy Accelerator members. I'm not going to do that, but just going back to like, you know, not seeing statistics, like I want you to check out, you know, the lead here, right? So how an unexpected high score union led one woman to discover the bioharmony switch and finally win the battle against her waistline. This exciting and simple solution is being used by hundreds of women across the country to burn fat, reclaim their body, and make their friends green with envy. And all this is going to do is going to go right into like a story here, right? Like, hey, my name is Scarlett Peralta. Over the next few minutes, I'm going to tell you a frustrating true story about my 15th high score union. It was the moment I came face to face with the fact that I was 47 pounds overweight and everyone could see it. Truthfully, it was hard to miss. It had become a struggle to conceal my belly no matter how creative I got with my outfits. Sometimes I felt like my neck was starting to disappear, and the way fat jumped off my arms, I'd often joke to friends that it looked like it was trying to escape. But after that night, I couldn't keep lying to myself. Clothes I bought just a year before now pinched deep into my hips as they strained to hold everything in. And every time I logged into Facebook, I'd see old pictures that remind me of how hot I used to be. I'd reached my breaking point. Right then, I decided to lose my extra fat and restore the slender and sexy body I once had. And girl, I'll tell you, it was the best decision of my life because it sparked a desperate struggle to lose weight that led to the discovery of an incredible, unusual weight loss secret that helped cut pounds of nagging fat with very little effort. And it just kind of keeps going to the story of how she went to like her high school reunion. Tom, yeah, it's the same writer who wrote Lift Factor who wrote this one, and it's been just crushing for us on both email and on, we have someone right on Facebook, and we launched the offer just a couple of weeks ago, but we're already doing maybe 70 to 100 sales a day on it. I think we'll probably get to like a couple hundred sales a day pretty quickly. And conversion rates on Facebook are as high as 6% for a lower price point version we're doing, and about 3 to 4% for a higher price point version. And then on top of that, on email, like Meredith Shirk emailed for it and was like she had like a 5% conversion rate and a 550 EPC and stuff like that. So yeah, it's just murdering it. David asked if the story is true. Yeah, Tom, we do have a version running on Facebook. Actually, we have 2 versions running on Facebook now. Yeah, the story is true. It's someone who actually works for me, and it's based, obviously it's a little bit kind of dramatized, but overall it's based on a true story. And we even got like a signed affidavit from her saying that is true and all that kind of good stuff. So, but again, the point is, do you see any statistics here, like anywhere in that lead? Like, I don't think there's any statistics in the entire sales letter, to be completely honest with you guys, but it's crushing. You just don't need statistics. So this one captures you. It brings you in right away. There's the promise of this embarrassing story, this horrible story, all that kind of stuff. So just like, yeah, that's where the difference is on the statistics side of things. I want to go number 3, but Justin, you want me to pause and see about any other?
No, I would say keep rolling, man. You're doing great.
Okay, cool. Here. Alexander Clark did ask what parts of the story are acceptable to dramatize and change and stay ethical. I think if you're just sort of like, I don't know. I don't know. I don't get an answer for it. It's like a little bit of storytelling. Like, I'm not making things up. I'm not changing facts. I'm just sort of telling them in like a way, like I imagine like the ghostwriter and somebody's told me a story and I'm just like now like adding drama to it and things of that nature more than anything. That's kind of the way I approach it. Please don't rip this off. I know there's a bunch of people on this call and I showed the link. So, please don't rip it off. Okay. Now the third mistake is like not talking to the prospect, right? I call this kind of Ron Burgundy syndrome, just because like I love the movie Anchorman. And if you think about the character Ron Burgundy, for those who've seen it, he's like the most self-obsessed person ever, right? And so he's never actually listening to anybody else or hearing anybody else, and he's not really like talking to other people. He's just very self-obsessed and about himself. And I see this as a huge issue or problem in a lot of copy where they don't pause to relate the lead back to the reader or the viewer. So like I have 2 examples here. I think I've got them pulled up already. I pulled these just from ClickBank too, and this one here is for a diabetes one, right? So if you have diabetes, pre-diabetes, or know someone with these conditions, and read this carefully, as the following information can save your life. So, okay, cool. The headline here does have, talks to the reader, but then it's gonna go into like a story, and it just goes for a very long time without relating back to the reader. So I cannot believe what they were telling me. I woke up in a daze. I could feel myself wrapped by the firm constricting sheets and a stale smell that can only be found in a hospital. I could hear the beeping sound that somebody was not well. Through my haze, I was able to see my family. I could see tears in their eyes. As soon as they noticed I was waking, they had pure joy and relief that I wasn't dead. Soon afterwards, as I was confused, the doctor came to me with a face that almost seemed shocked that I was staring back at him. I asked the doctor, what's going on where I am? Or what's going on, where am I? The last I remember, I was watering my lawn when all of a sudden things just went black. The doctor told me the most shocking news of my life. He said, you have just woken up from a diabetic coma. Your blood sugar level was so high, you should have died. I have never felt so much fear and disappointment in life. The thought of my kids growing up without their father and my wife losing her husband made me feel like I had lost complete control of my life and health. I was only 43 years old with a beautiful wife, 2 boys and 1 girl. My youngest, my 5-year-old daughter, Stephanie, hugged me, looked me in the eye and said, Daddy, what's wrong with you? At that moment, I realized I could not let this disease take my life, not now, not ever. Upon returning home from the hospital, as we were sitting for dinner, I could not believe the look of sadness and fear that my family had in their eyes. I'd never seen anything like this before. After dinner, it just keeps going, right? So the story itself is like not like, it's not bad, right? And it's kind of like, it's a little bit inspired probably by the Veda blood sugar offer that, Daniel Toe used to run back in the day. And I had the diabetes protocol back in the day. And, like, and diabetes is a vertical that, does well. But yeah, to people's comments we're seeing here, it's just like, it's still I. Fortunately, I'm telling you, we have to get pretty far down here until he finally mentions you again. Um, and then it's back to I again though. Still, it's kind of crazy. So if this one like switched it and stopped it and started relating it to the reader more, it would just be significantly better. And the other one I have, is I won't go through this, but this is just another one of I found on ClickBank called My Cellulite Solution, where I start telling this story, and same thing. They don't get to like you. The first time you is mentioned is like right here, but there's all this stuff about a you. And like the challenge there is, again, if I'm the reader, my whole question is like, what's in it for me, right? Like, why am I here? I've seen an ad, an email, I've clicked something, and I'm reading somebody's like crappy story, and they're just like, all right, man, like, that stinks. Gavin, which one do you own, the blood sugar one or the cellulite one?
I think the cellulite one says.
Cool. Well, again, I think the formatting is beautiful on it. I just think if we could find a way to relate it to the reader faster. Oh yeah, this is cellulite. Is Dave's blood sugar? I don't know. By the way, again, it's not that these things won't work. I'm not like, and that's the point, but it's just like they can be better. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not necessarily saying like this is garbage copy, but I am saying like it could be better if we did some things to change them. And that's like the advantage. That's the big thing. And that's what we teach again in Copy Accelerator, and we work with people. And I think one of the things that helps me to be successful is the fact that, yeah.
Yeah, Stefan, I think this would be a good thing to clarify. The difference between why the diabetes one that's why is that one bad, and why is the one that you wrote, which is also kind of a story about that person, better version of that?
Yeah, I guess the question, that's actually a pretty good question. I mean, I do get to you right here, which is a little bit earlier. If you actually look at the word count, because these are pretty short lines versus like these ones are kind of denser. I mean, like there's actually a lot more copy before I get to you. Same thing here. There's a lot of copy before this one gets to you. But other than that, I guess, probably just a story. Like, I guess because the story does hook people in. I would agree. Maybe it would be better if we had more cases of you in there, to be honest with you.
Well, I think too on this one, if you go back up to the headline in there's a promise up there that there's a promise for them, whereas the other one doesn't really hit on that anywhere near as much.
Oh, actually, also too, I mean, literally right here, like over the next few minutes, I'm going to tell you a frustrating true story about my 15th high school reunion. So like literally in that first line, it's like, well, second line, it's like, hey, I'm going to tell you the story. So even that alone makes it better. So if you go back to like with blood sugar, for example, it does say if you have this stuff, like listen, right? But then I could not believe what they were telling me. I wrapped up. It's not like, hey, I'm about to tell you this crazy story of what happened to me in the hospital, and like I want you to pay close attention because it was scary for me, but it also could impact you. Like bioharmony, again, right here you have you. So we do actually talk to the reader right away on it, and it's more conversational.
Yeah, I mean, the big thing too about Stefan's copy is it's way more conversational and way just easier to. It sucks you in. The story's way better. Whereas the diabetes one, the story's okay, but it is kind of flat.
Yeah, and I mean, to be honest too, and this one, because it's for Facebook, has like less usage of the word you too, and there is that. I mean, this one's in a different version. Actually, 3 is the same version, but we have a version where it was more aggressive, where we kind of phased that out because we didn't want to we wanted to be more compliant. Let's see if 2 loads it. Yeah, because we had something about 47 pounds of fat, right? I think I had another. I thought I had another U somewhere else, but maybe not. But yeah, again, at the end of the day, it's like the format is a lot better. But yeah. So again, those are negative examples. Another positive example would be for I got this new computer and it's got Safari as my default and I'm hating it. But for flat belly fix right here, going back to again Ron Burgundy syndrome, right? So if you look at this one, right, discover how I helped my crippled wife shed 23 pounds of unwanted fat and completely flatten her belly without starving herself and without doing any exercise more strenuous than walking to the fridge. The very first line, at first I didn't want to tell you my wife's story. It felt too private, too painful. However, the near miraculous health and weight loss trick we stumbled on that literally saved my wife's life and gave her back her lean, sexy, and pain-free body is something too important to hide. And anyway, it goes on and then tells his wife's story. But again, even here, however, my wife and I had to hit rock bottom before we discovered the powerful system I'm sharing with you in this story. Here's what happened. And then it does have like the story, right, of his wife. But like, again, even just a couple of lines that are like, you know, talking to like to you, I'm going to tell you this story, is very, you know, significant. So like, yeah, the page is kind of wide. It could be my screen too, but you guys notice the difference here? I didn't want to tell you my wife's story. You know, I'm sharing with the story with you, right? And then there's another example. Oh my God, I hate this computer right now. So I'm not sure if I have up or not. Oh yeah, this is like an arthritis one that I just found. But like, check this one out, right? You can now relieve your arthritis pain on contact. Medical breakthroughs by Hungarian scientists instantly relieves joint pain, lower back pain, and arthritis pain. Feel blessed relief the first time you try the solution. Dear reader, boom, imagine you're fighting for your life in a war-torn hellhole in the Middle East. Bomb explodes right beside you, smashing your body to the ground. You skirt along the edge of death. Somehow, by the grace of God, you cling to life, but little do you realize your nightmare has just started. You blink your eyes open, light shine downs on your broken body, and you realize you're in a hospital. As you try to sit up from your bed to look around, you think you're safe, but then you feel it. Icy scraping pain shoots through your lower back, shoulders, and knees. It pierces every thought. Your body is racked with pain. Resting in your bed doesn't help. Drugs don't relieve your pain either. And after standard painkillers fail to help, your doctors shrug their shoulders, clueless about how to ease your suffering. You feel hopeless, cursed to live in pain forever. It feels like a nightmare to even imagine this. What you just heard is the beginning of a true story. This happened to Rick Smith, an American soldier in the Middle East. After a horrific bomb detonated right in front of him, he barely escaped death, only ended up cursed with a lifetime of chronic pain, or so he thought. You see, his true story has an amazing ending. You see, after running out of options, his doctors decided to test a completely different kind of treatment on Rick. It wasn't a complicated medical procedure. He didn't get an operation or any drugs with horrible side effects. In fact, he didn't take a single pill. Instead, Rick's doctors gave him a high-dose patch of something called C32, a pain-relieving metabolite. So with this version here, like, you know, again, if you just look at this here, right, like it captures your attention. But going back to people like, well, what if it's a third-person story? Well, you can still be like, hey, imagine you're experiencing this story, right? Imagine like you're there. And so even though it's somebody else's story, instead of being like, you know, Rick was fighting for his life in a war-torn hellhole in the Middle East when a bomb exploded right beside him, smashing his body to the ground. He skirted along the edge of death. Somehow, by the grace of God, he clung to life. But little did he realize his nightmare had just started, right? Even then, you'd still, like, the story's good and the war stuff, and it is interesting. So, like, there is a captivating component to that. But just by telling them, like, hey, put yourself into his shoes, like, put yourself into the sales letter, it's just way more effective at grabbing attention. Make sense? And are these examples helpful and good, and this is good so far?
Yeah, I would say everybody pop a yes or something in the chat if this has been helpful so far for you.
Awesome.
By the way, let's do a quick little round of that. Like, pop, what's been kind of the biggest thing you've taken away from the call already? Pop it in the chat real quick. It'd be really helpful for Stefan and I to know what are the big things that are really hitting with you guys.
This is great. I love you guys. Thank you so much for sharing all this, because it is really helpful.
Awesome.
Yeah, this is awesome.
It's the fastest I've
Christian
ever.
says, feel free to move faster. Yeah, these are awesome though. Really good.
Cool. Awesome.
All right, cool. I'll make sure to read the transcript too of this. So if I don't see it at this moment, I will keep reading. But okay. The fourth kind of big mistake, right, that we see in leads especially, is like trying to teach or to be an over explainer. So this one, I see it. It's interesting because I see it all the time, and honestly, even in our Copy Accelerator Mastermind and the guys that we coach and train. I was trying to go through examples today, and I guess because I help people to catch it so often before it goes live, I was like having trouble finding a really a pertinent example. So I made, this is one that I did when I emailed my list. So I'm just gonna use this one, but this is like pretty indicative of something I do see pretty regularly. So like, this is just like a made up sales copy for this one. And it's for doing a hypothetical like energy offer, right? So I just made this one up kind of like on the spot, but this is very, very demonstrative of what I see pretty regularly. So in this one, right, let's say it's like, Hey, I'm John, and inside this video, I'll be sharing the surprise reason why you feel tired all the time. It has to do with the discovery of a strange microscopic enzyme inside of your liver, and scientists have nicknamed it your body's battery enzyme because this enzyme determines whether you feel energized and fully charged or you feel exhausted and drained. The technical name of this battery enzyme is NP241, and the way it works is by feeding the bacteria in your gut. Specifically, you have tiny blood vessels that connect your liver to your gut, and this enzyme is made inside your liver, then sent to your gut through these blood vessels where it latches onto your gut bacteria and tells them to be more active. The reason this is so important for you to know is because according to Dr. So-and-so of some prestigious university, about 74% of your energy comes from your gut bacteria. And a new study conducted by another prestigious university, it was found that when your gut bacteria are more active, you're more active and have more energy too. The problem though is that when your liver doesn't produce enough of this NP241 enzyme, your gut isn't as active and you feel tired and drained. And according to a 2018 study at yet another prestigious university, as we get older, our bodies start naturally making less of this NP241 enzyme. And it turns out the reason why is because of a little studied hormone in the body called blah. Experts have found that our gut starts making higher levels of blah as we get older, and that blah essentially mutes the NP241 hormone, so you experience less energy as the years go by. Well, inside this presentation, I'm going to share how you can stop blah from disrupting your NP241. That way, you can once again experience a surge of replenishing energy that lasts all day long, just like when you were young. So yeah, it's super boring. I don't actually think the ellipses are as much of an issue, frankly, but in fact, I know for a fact they're not a huge issue, but I think that like it actually starts off like fine, right? With the surprising reason you're tired all the time. It has to do with the discovery of a strange microscopic enzyme inside of your liver. And scientists have nicknamed it your body's battery enzyme because this enzyme determines whether you feel fully energized and fully charged or you feel exhausted and drained. Yeah, I think overall, like this part's actually kind of fine. But then where we veer off track or off course is as soon as we start talking about how the technical name for this is NP241, like they probably don't need to know that yet. They could probably stick with battery enzyme, right? And then we start being like how it works, right? Well, it feeds the bacteria in your gut. You have these blood vessels in your gut. The enzyme is made in your liver. Then it goes through the blood vessels to your gut. And then here's a statistic you don't actually really need to know. And then, there's another hormone called blah. Like it just sort of like, it just takes you off to sleep. So I'll show you guys kind of the way I would do it. Again, there's gonna be a lot of ellipses. So for the ellipses haters, just deal with that. But this is kind of the way I was like how I would change that if it were me, right? So,
Stefan,
hey, I'm John.
one thing I want to point out, the idea of Gary Halbert, who taught this 40 years ago, the number one sin in copy is to be boring. And this copy is a prime example of that, where it's just too logical, too fact-based, and it doesn't stir up the emotions, doesn't hook you, you don't want to just keep reading. When you're reading a really good story or something really interesting, even if you know you're reading copy, you can't stop. Like you have to just keep reading because you want to see what happens next. This copy would be very easy to just kind of click away, check your email, look at something else. That's the big thing you want to avoid.
Yeah, 100%. And again, that goes back to if you start trying to over explain and kind of do all that, especially in the lead, because I teach about mechanisms, right? Where it's we do want to share here's the surprising reason behind your problem and then the surprising solution. And you may share some science or data or some stats in that portion of it, depending if it's health or financial or whatever. But again, we can do that in a more entertaining way, and we can do it later on. I think sometimes even for me as a teacher, I teach people about that, and then they start trying to sneak it up into the lead, and it's not where it goes. You can tease it in the lead. That's totally cool. And so this is the kind of the variant I have or whatever. There's a blue line on my monitor, but whatever. Okay, so right. So here's another version, right? Hey, I'm John, and inside this video, I'll be sharing the surprising reason why you feel tired all the time. It has to do with the discovery of a strange microscopic enzyme inside of your liver, and scientists have nicknamed it your body's battery enzyme because this enzyme determines whether you feel energized and fully charged or you feel exhausted and drained. It turns out that as you grow older, your levels of this battery enzyme begin to drop, and the reason why it has to do with a certain hormone that's virtually never discussed by the mainstream science, even though it could be the real reason why you're always feeling sluggish and fatigued. That's why inside this video, I'm going to show you exactly how to get this hormone under control so your battery enzyme can thrive and you can once again experience a surge of powerful energy that lasts all day long, just like when you were young. So if you're sick of waking up in the morning and feeling like you're covered in a lead blanket because it's almost impossible to get out of bed, or you've noticed that your brain is getting foggier and foggier with each passing year, or that you're often the victim of those afternoon energy crashes, the ones that come around 2 p.m. and make you wish you could just crawl under your desk and fall asleep, and pay careful attention because what you're about to discover could change everything. You'll see why in just a few moments from now. Plus, inside this video, I'm also going to be sharing the surprising reason why eating a certain type of popular cheese could be the key to doubling your energy. You often see it put on burgers, but it's not American or cheddar, along with startling new research from prestigious university that suggests people who chew gum weekly are at least 33% less likely to get a good night's sleep compared to those who don't. All of that more and more is coming up, so let's go ahead and get started. So again, this is like not like perfect. These are just hypotheticals I made up on the spot. And you'll know I did do a statistic here, but it's just part of like a fascination, which we are going to get to here. But like, yeah, you want to know the cheese. You're kind of talking about their pain points. You know, we tease it a little bit still, like the hormone in that example. But again, we're not going to start curving off into like a biology lesson, right? And that's sort of like the big point there is the classic cheese tease. It's a really weird question, but do you guys see like a blue line on my screen, or is that just something that I'm seeing on my monitor?
Yeah,
this new MacBook.
That's it.
I have no idea how to get rid of it. I see one up there too. I don't know if it's from the trackpad or like what. Super weird. I wonder if I should switch monitors or something. I don't know. I guess it's not huge. It's not a big deal, right? You guys are okay. You can survive. Restart your. Yeah, let me try that. Oh, I hit annotate. Yeah, let me try restarting it. That's a good idea. So smart. Okay, you guys can see it now, and the blue lines are gone. We did it. Okay, cool. Perfect. Okay, cool. And I think I had another example of that, which is, oh yeah, this leptin research one, which is I think I have it up here actually. I guess this is like it was like the top offer I saw on ClickBank when I went there right now, and I saw somebody else email for it. I'll be honest, even on this one, I do think we could like say you a little bit earlier on, but it actually, overall, I was looking at this copy and this lead, and it does a lot of good things in this letter, and it follows, you know, I'm not saying that whoever wrote this got it from me, maybe there's a really good writer too, but it follows the very similar format to what I've done historically in offers that I've been involved in, and it's this is a good lead that's
Randall wrote it.
Did he?
He wrote the lead at least.
Yeah, Randall.
Yeah, we went over it in Copy Accelerator.
I don't know how I don't remember. I guess I'm just an asshole. But yeah, this is yeah, well, good for Randall. He's one of our Copy Accelerator members. Who, by the way, like, not to plug Copy Accelerator, but what his income's like quintupled since joining Copy Accelerator on a monthly basis. But the reason why is because he's writing leads like this now. So right, here's how I saved my wife's life with a 5-second hack that kills food cravings and about 62 pounds of raw fat. She exercises every morning, jogging, push-ups, squats. She eats a healthy breakfast, oats, eggs, and spinach. And dinner, chicken, broccoli, rice. She diets keto, vegan, paleo. Oh, I do remember this now that just as the doctor ordered. She's tired, she's aches, she's hungry, exhausted, she sleeps, but every morning the scales never change. She tries to ignore it, but for my wife, Grace, she's a prisoner of her own belly fat. A 46-year-old mother of 3, trapped inside her own body, her shoulders slumped as the realization set in, she was going to be overweight for the rest of her life. And again, I do think we could be talking to you a little bit in here, but Grace looked up at me, and in tears, she uttered 5 words I don't think I'll ever forget. I can't live like this, she said. I've never felt so helpless in all my life. I was angry at the doctors whose diets and exercises had done nothing. Angry at God for letting this happen to the woman I loved. Angry at myself for not being able to do anything to help, but I didn't know how. So why am I sharing this story with you today? What happened next is very painful for me to tell, but it forced me to go on a journey that changed everything in my life and the life of tens of thousands of women and men around the world. That led to my discovery of a 5-second water hack from a tiny Malaysian island. One so powerful, it could completely transform my 46-year-old wife's life, support a healthy heart, arteries, and blood sugar levels, and after years of failed diets and feeling hopeless, melt away 2 pounds overnight and in just a matter of weeks. And as lose 62 pounds of raw, ugly fat from all over her belly, arms, face, hips, and thighs, going from this to this. And it kind of keeps going here, but then we talk about the real cause, and it being a dangerous foreign compound swimming in your bloodstream right now that's forcing your body to store more and more fat. Scientists have found it's abundant in every woman and man, especially those over the age of 40, who are finding it impossible to lose and keep fat off their body. And according to new research, it's the root cause of why we gain weight. But fear not, by using my discovery of this simple, forbidden 5-second water hack, which I'm about to reveal on this short page, not only the inhabitants of a small, barely populated Malaysian island 8,900 miles from home, you can quickly target this dangerous foreign compound and stop your body from storing excess weight. And it goes on from there. So like, yeah, the point of this one being like, he teases, right, that there's this thing here, the dangerous foreign compound, but he doesn't actually start explaining what the foreign compound is. Because a mistake, and now, to be completely honest with you, I don't know if Randall's on this call or not, And I love Randall, but a mistake Randall used to make a lot early on is he would try to over explain in his leads. So he would mention like the foreign compound thing, and they'd start being like, it's called this. And a bunch of scientists have found, and it would just kind of keep going, and he would get completely derailed. But instead, like and this one did a good job of like just teasing it and then continuing on. So
one thing too to note, this lead, I'm pretty sure was written for a video, and it actually works a lot better on video than it does on text.
Yeah, I've got sources of the text version that I have, but most people are watching the VSL.
Yep.
Yeah, I did that for all these, and that's actually one of the reasons there's not quite as many financial examples as I would have liked, is because a lot of them don't have the read the transcript option, and I didn't want to deal with like showing the video. I was curious, what did is there a specific reason some of these leads of husbands telling stories about saving their wives instead of the wives telling their stories? Yeah, it's a good question. There's probably two sides to it. One is like, I can't say this without sounding kind of sexist, but I'm just gonna say it. There's something about, I think a lot of women like the idea of like their Prince Charming or their man being like the hero who like wants to like save, like it's heroic and chivalrous and things like that. And again, not like saying that that's reality or anything like that, but I think there is a segment of the market that appreciates this idea of like the husband who's out there trying to like kind of like, do what he can, like, for better or worse, like I love you, that kind of thing. And then another thing, honestly, is that in general, to be completely honest with you guys, male voiceovers tend to do better than female voiceovers every time I've tested it. And so while for a text sales letter, like with BioHarmony or Lift Factor, we don't have a VSL for it. So having a woman as a spokesperson works. For some reason, and I not only have I tested this, but I have a lot of other people I know who've tested this pretty extensively. Generally, the market just responds better to men than women, and especially when it's like something like weight loss. I think even because like if you have a female talking, I think there's this part of like it where some women kind of like feel like more like petty towards the other woman. Not all women, but this can happen, or feel like, I don't know. There's less trust. Just it is what it is. But when an authoritative man talks, it just for whatever reason seems to do better. I feel.
I mean, a lot of it too is a lot of these businesses are owned by men, so it's them telling the story of their wife or their girlfriend or their mother or whoever it is. So that, and a lot of them, the wife probably doesn't want to be the face of it. They don't mind their story being used, but they don't want to be the face of it. So that a lot of that stuff also factors in as well.
Yeah, that's a good point too, actually. And I've seen that actually several times as well, where there's like a really good story from somebody's like wife or something, and then like I'm like, oh my god, that's great, let's use that, and like, oh, she doesn't want to be like, she doesn't want to be the face of it. She doesn't want to talk and stuff. So that does actually happen quite often. Whoever asked if the bullets are strategically centered, I doubt it. It's probably just formatting. So yeah, okay, cool. So we got one more. And the common mistakes, there's actually a couple more, and I'll share those quickly at the very end of this, and not even like examples, but at least a takeaway. But the last one I have is going back to fascinations. And I know you guys mentioned like the Screaming Eagle thing, which is a great document for it, but it is not using fascinations and like forgetting to fascinate. So for fascinations, I'll share this example. I don't know if I can pull it up really easily here. Actually, a Screaming Eagle. You guys can do your own Google on this, but I'm gonna hook it up. I think there's a couple places that have it. I don't know if you're supposed to buy it or not, but if you Google it, it's available all over the interwebs. So if you guys have never looked at this newsletter before, I'll be honest with you guys, this is probably one of the 3 to 5 things that improved my sales copywriting the most of everything by far, was studying this. I had a client, Tryon Savion, Savion, right? Sava. Back in 2013 or whatever it was. And he made me basically, I was waiting for survival stuff at the time, and they made me study this and go through. There's basically 21 different types of kind of curiosity bullets, and they're talked about through here. And they had me go through and actually write out, I think I wrote something crazy like 20 plus bullets for each of the categories. And you can do this for your own offers. You can just pick a book. You take a book off your shelf that's like a kind of how-to book, and create them for that, whatever it is. But seriously, like this document will change your copy and dramatically increase your conversions. In fact, something I wrote for Nick Daniel, who's in Copy Accelerator and with VShred and Scalp Nation, I put some at the end of that sales copy, and even texted me. He's like, "Oh my God, I finally get it." And the reason he got it is because when you have these like things in the lead that kind of like create curiosity, then even say if your big idea missed or they weren't that hooked in, if you get to one of these kind of bullets and people are, you know, curiosity sparked as a result of that, then they're much more likely to keep reading or watching the copy because they're like, I have to know the answer to this riddle. Basically, these are all like riddles and things like that. So, you know, a negative example is really any copy that doesn't, you know, do that. I think this was one I just pulled up, but this one was kind of interesting. It's like a passive income thing of like tweeting to make money or something like that. And I just found it on ClickBank. So, right, like, dear fellow wealth seeker, let me ask you the following questions. But I also hate when you just ask questions at the start of your lead, but I can go back to that in a minute. But do you want a 100% passive income that puts money into your bank account even while you sleep? Do you want a system that is completely unlimited, very easy to duplicate, and provides you with a truly unlimited income on autopilot? Are you prepared to invest just 2 hours, after which you have a fully automated passive income forever? So first of all, I don't really like when you just ask a bunch of questions with like pretty unbelievable, you know, kind of claims on, but whatever. You know, if you answered yes to any of the above questions, I have good news for you. You're about to discover the secret to creating totally passive income streams that last forever in just 2 hours. I'm going to reveal to you the magic formula that I've used to make thousands of dollars on autopilot every single week without a product, a website, or even a list. But first, let me introduce myself. My name is Steve Hall. I retired in 2003, age 29, because I found a way to make more money online than I was making from my day job. Now my income is 100% fully automated. Not having to work means I'm free to travel and live anywhere in the world. For me, that's the most valuable benefit of passive income. Thanks to the freedom of my 100% fully automated passive income, I was able to meet my wife. I'd like to share a very personal video with you of our special day, because without a passive income, this would never have happened. It was a wedding video, which I actually think is kind of a good idea. It makes it more relatable. I'm guessing that's not what you expect. Yeah.
Well, one thing I want to point out here really quick. Does everyone see how kind of like boilerplate this is? How it sounds like every single other make money offer? Yep. One of the biggest things you don't want to do with leads is to get the, oh, I've heard this before reaction. And you can see like Stefan writes weight loss stuff, which is super oversaturated. There's millions and millions of weight loss offers. People who buy weight loss offers have bought 10 of them before. They've seen hundreds of them. Yet Stefan's stuff sounds very new and unique and interesting. It doesn't sound like the same thing that you've heard before. Big issue that we see with a lot of copywriters is kind of writing just this boilerplate stuff that sounds like every single other offer that is out there in that niche.
Yeah, that's a great point, Justin. And I know Jason said, you know, wait, what's the reason you don't like questions in the lead? Craig Clemens used to do that with all the Double Your Dating sales letters. I don't hate having a question or two in the lead. I don't like when it's that is the lead is like a bunch of questions. If it's like an if then, because it just sounds automatically like you're trying to sell somebody something. You know, it's like, if you're a woman over the age of 40, you know, and you feel as though you're not reaching your full potential because you know, don't have an income of your own. And if you know, or do you suffer from this and that? And do you wish that it could be differently? Well, if so, I've got this solution for you. It's just kind of like very salesy. It's like a radio ad type thing. I just don't like think that really captures the attention. I think it puts people on guard where they feel like, you know, they're being sold to right away, or they're going to be sold to. And so that's why I don't like the if then questions. So basically, you know, on this sales letter, the guy goes into his passive income secrets, right? But what would be so much better is if the guy was using some fascinations and teasing. So I'll show you some from a letter of mine in a second. But like basically, you know, if he was like, you know, things, I'm guessing now that you know me a little better, it's time for me to share my passive income system with you. And it's kind of like what his passive income system does. He goes, that would be like cool if like, so let's see, making money on other people's products, right? So like, if you like the weird Japanese, like Japanese water trick that, you know, ancient like peasants overseas use to create an extra income at like rice markets, but that can be applied to everyday, like to your income here in America in the year 2020. I mean, that's like super made up and not that strong. But like the point is like, just if he'd been like, I'm going to show you, let me show you some examples of positive ones. It's going to be better than me making these up right now. So this is on the rewrite I did for Genesis, which is another health offer. And I've got like a whole lead to it. And you guys don't, I'm sure somebody can handwrite this and go view it probably. But it's a really cool offer. But at the very end of the lead, what you'll see is I throw in a couple of these fascinations. Should I get to here? Right. So this is just a glimpse of the results you can soon expect as well. And I'm going to show you exactly what this death clock reversing breakthrough is, plus how it works right inside this letter. And the pages that follow, you're also going to see the shocking twin study that has NASA wondering if their astronauts might become immortal if they lived in outer space, why something known as the Chernobyl effect could be polluting your cells and making you age faster, or making you age and fast forward. Hint, has nothing to do with radiation. The newly discovered string substance that one of the country's top doctors says is better than cholesterol at predicting your risk of heart attack or stroke, and the controversial immortality equation that Spanish researchers now say holds the key to never-ending human life. All of this and more in just a few moments from now, but before I tell you exactly what this cellular death clock is and how to rewind it, it's important that I warn you, people hate this, blah, blah, blah. But the point is, like, you don't need to know the whole context of the sales letter necessarily to just see me popping in these little fascinations, because even if somebody's been sticking with me, for so long and they're kind of like on the fence if they want to continue, and I just hit them with like 4 of those fascinations at the end of the lead, like they just want to, like, it makes them much more likely to continue going because they want to know the solution to it. The best place for fascinations, there's 2 places you find them in the sales letter. So one would be like in the lead, and then the other is going to be in like the product side. So for like an info product or a webinar, like for example, like, for this Zoom thing, we could be like, you're going to see the 5 common mistakes that most copywriters make on their lead, plus like the one thing you should always add to the start of your sales letter if you want to increase conversions by at least 25%. So I could like tell you that to like tease you coming to this. You can do it in like ads or like promotions and things. But if you're selling a book too, you'll see in like dating, going back to dating, some of the best dating sales letters ever were just filled with fascinations. Because like, well, there's this product, inside the product, you're going to find the 3 sneaky words that you can say to a woman that will have her, blushing and asking you to take her out that night. Hint, one of the words is like garbage, which makes not make sense, but like whatever. I don't know. You can do weird things like, double your dating sales letter, going back to that. Colin asked like what the difference is between fascinations and bullets, and there's not really one. I mean, they're just, it's really a terminology thing. As long as the bullets are curiosity driven bullets that are kind of achieving something where you're teasing something in a unique way. You're creating little like riddles for people. So as long as that's the case, then there's not really there's no difference. It's just semantics. So I have a couple other things I want to go through, but let's pause here since those are the 5 most common mistakes I see. And
I was thinking let's actually hop into Q&A. We're kind of running a little over our time already. So we're gonna do about 10 minutes of Q&A. If you want to stick around, we'll do Q&A, and then if you remember, we are going to give away a $12,500 free gift at the end of the call. So if you want to hang around and see what that is, there's a good idea. There's a fascination right there. Getting you to stick around. So let's do it. We'll do about 10 minutes Q&A. So feel free to pop a question into the chat if you have questions. Pascal said, do you work in the financial niche as well? We coach a lot of people in the financial niche. Agora, some of the, who else? Jared Nations, I forget what Jared's company is. We probably have, I don't know, 5 or 6. And then we have a lot of freelance copywriters who write financial in our group. Neither of us really write a whole lot of financial copy. I've done a good amount of consulting for Agora companies on funnel stuff, but I don't write like front-end offers for them. Isaac said, do these same lead principles apply to email copy? I mean, the lead in an email is just as important. Just like, so the subject line is super important to get it open, and then the lead, you have to grab them right away. So like a big mistake people make in email is like the clearing your throat one, where the first like 3 or 4 sentences are clearing your throat instead of just grabbing the person right on that first sentence. Dustin said, how could this relate to Facebook ads? I'm a local fitness biz and usually try to get lead contact and then get them on the phone. I mean, when you're writing Facebook ads, it's very similar too. So if you test a lot of stuff on Facebook ads, you'll notice that you could have an ad that's working and you just play around with the first two like sentences of a Facebook ad, and you'll get drastically different click-through rates and conversions and stuff like that just from changing that. So yeah, in really anything, like I said, emails, Facebook ads, sales copy, those first, the lead of it, whatever you consider the lead, the first maybe 3 sentences on a Facebook ad really matter.
Yeah, just and because Isaac had asked a similar question about email, and like same thing though, especially with email, like don't just give people a bunch of statistics. Don't just talk about yourself. You know, like all of that. Like it just don't try to explain a bunch of shit in the email. Like don't over explain. I mean, like basically every single one of these principles applies to email because all an email. If it's a creative with the objective of getting somebody to click, and same thing with an ad, even on Facebook, right? So if you have your image and you have a long text ad beneath it, like the whole point is that you're trying to like captivate somebody, get their curiosity, get their attention, and then get them to take action and click. That's all you're doing. So like these principles apply equally to those things as well.
So Eli asked, why don't you like questions in the lead? I think Stefan answered that. It really just, it doesn't hook people anywhere near as well as writing a normal lead. Moni asked, do stories and leads always have to be based on true stories? A lot of this is dependent on the niche. Like in dating, you could get away, almost every VSL in dating, the stories are made up. And because there's no regulation, nobody's going to come after you in the dating niche for making up a story about meeting a girl at a bar, or meeting a guy at a bar or whatever. No, the FTC is not going to be banging on your door for that. If you make up a story in weight loss about losing 60 pounds or curing your diabetes, there's going to be people in yellow jackets showing up at your door and hauling you off to jail. So very niche dependent. Most of the stories Steph and I use, if it's not stories we know personally, it's we read it somewhere, so it is a real story, and we'll kind of phrase it like that. We're not pawning it off as our own, but we are phrasing it as like a real story. Tom asked, at what point do you test a new big idea versus a new lead? Obviously, big idea can move the needle more, but it takes a ton more time. To use target metrics to be like, this isn't even close. I would 100% test new leads before new big ideas, because the bumps you can get from new leads and the amount of effort and time required to change them is so much more valuable, because you could pump out 3 new leads and get them tested within 2 weeks. Coming up with entire new big ideas is a lot more reconstructing of the copy and just takes a lot more time. Christian asks, what's survival copy? So 4Patriots is the company I used to be the sister company of the company I own. So they're probably the biggest player in the survival niche. They have great copy. I'd highly recommend. If you're interested in survival stuff, get on their list and kind of follow what they do.
I think two really quick ones. Andrew, I know you asked about digital plus integration. You just want to write but outsource the tech. I mean, honestly, probably find a partner or something, or just maybe find a client. But that's just that. And then with Dave's about how graphics factor into sales letters, or their user fascinations, I just think that is the visual stuff is really important. I actually saved. I'm gonna just put a link into it for you guys. I'm not gonna share my screen again. I found one when I was going through examples. That's one of the worst designs I've ever seen in my life, and I've got to share it with you guys. But the design is really vital, and I mean, I think people sometimes kind of half-ass it. You guys are gonna vomit when you see this one I just shared with you. So, but yeah, so let's see here.
So do graphics factor into sales letters? Yeah, definitely. We talked about that on the last call we did. Design is definitely a huge part of conversions. Usually the simpler, the better. Allow people to keep reading. That's a big one. Video is important, so people are still reading long copy. Yep. Dating offer, I want to convert it into more of a Dale Carnegie's type of offer. I want to focus on social skills instead of dating. The only reason I would do that is if you're going to do it to Facebook, where you have to make it more clean. So like on Facebook, you'd have to do something like, I don't know, how to be charismatic. Like that's kind of more the flavor of dating offers that you could run on Facebook. That would be the only reason I would probably change that over, unless you got some other reason that I'm not seeing.
And when you do change it over, and what a lot of guys are doing that now, and their whole big focus is like 2 things I've seen. One is like it's about inner game, right? So it's like you're focused on your inner game and you being the most like fully realized man instead of this external game with women. So that's kind of like the angle that people are taking. And the other interesting thing that some of them are doing is like actually like there's a magician guy I saw on Instagram, but it was like street magic, but all of the women he was showing the magic to were like super attractive, like girls that you would want to date, or that like his market would want to date. And I'm pretty sure that was actually for like a dating type of thing too, but it was like kind of being a little bit sneaky. But inner game from the Dale Carnegie side of things is what you would approach that with.
Carlos asked, not sure if this was not seen, but thanks for the dollar and the nod to Gary Halbert. Can I ask what you wrote that letter? So he's referring to the direct mail piece we sent out for our upcoming Copy Accelerator Mastermind. A lot of you guys on this call might have got it. Actually, neither Stefan or I wrote it. A guy named Mario, who is actually in our Copy Accelerator group. One of the benefits of being a Copy Accelerator as a freelancer is when Stefan and I have jobs, we farm them out to the people in the group. So Mario wrote it. Stefan and I kind of drove the strategy. Stefan and I cleaned it up. Yeah, he did a great job on it. So
yeah, he did a really good job.
Let's do about two more questions. We got a ton here, so I'm gonna scroll through and see if I can find two that really stand out.
If we miss yours, don't take it personally.
Yeah, James had a good one that I said I would mention. So I mentioned in my email that I got paid 63 grand for simply rewriting a 2-page lead for a client. Basically, I do a lot of lead stuff on performance basis. So I have a couple clients where I charge them $3,000 for every percentage point I beat their control by. And so for this particular client, it was like a 21% boost. So he paid me $63,000 for the new lead that I wrote. So I don't get paid anything up front. I basically wrote 3 leads for him. One of them lost. One of them was kind of like even, and one of them won by like 21%. He paid me on the 21% one. So yeah, if you're a freelancer, it's a great way. You might not be able to get $3,000 per percentage like I do, but if you're working with the right companies, you might be able to get 1,000. You might be able to get 2,000, something like that.
Yeah, I just did a deal like this, like literally signed the contract today or tomorrow, but it was like 10,000 up front, and then basically if I increase the conversion rate by 25%, I get an extra $25,000, and it's like just like a super low hanging fruit for me. And it's actually not even just the lead, there's some on page stuff too. But for me, I'm like, well, that's worth it because it's actually going to take me like an hour, maybe 2 hours, and yet I can get an extra 25 grand if I can get that conversion rate boosted, which I can. So yeah, deals like that, like I kind of learned those from Justin. I try and be a little sneaky. I like to get that money up front too, because I just like money in the bank. But yeah, it's a really good model.
Tony, a question. At your event in Vegas, are you going to focus more on writing copy or how to drive traffic and convert leads for our own stuff? It's a combination. Our mastermind is truly focused on acquiring customers above everything else, especially from cold traffic. So we really have 3 frameworks for doing that. It's the ads, it's the sales pages, and it's the upsells. So pretty much every talk is on one of those things, whether it's Facebook ads and emails, whether it's stuff on the sales page that you could change to boost conversions, similar to like what we talked about on here with leads, or whether it's upsell stuff, average order value boosters, stuff like that. So those are kind of the 3 things we really focus on. And everybody that's coming to the event is talking about one of those things. Cool. So we'll do one or two more questions.
I mean, David's right there, the number one type of lead we see working right now on health, survival, and financial offers. It's typically like, I mean, really emotional storytelling is like the best, you know what I mean? Like it really is. The more you can do that and have an emotional story that does relate back to the reader, really grabs their attention, is absolutely going to be your best bet. Yep. And also, thanks, Brian. Brian said, I can tell you that the last mastermind gave our offer a huge AOV boost. Definitely get in there if you can. That's awesome. We appreciate that.
Post who is coming to the Copy Accelerator event in Vegas, February 26th to the 28th. Feel free to pop something in the chat if you are coming. Tim says I am. Scott, Derek, Manuel, Art, Rob. Awesome. Got a bunch of people on here coming.
Mattia, Norma.
Great. Awesome, guys. So Moni, everybody's just filing in now. Awesome. So Steph and I Hope you guys got a ton of this call. We mentioned that we do have a free gift for people who stayed around to the end of the call. And that has to do with the Copy Accelerator event that's coming up in Vegas. So this is not a super hard pitch for it, but if you liked what we shared on the call today, you will absolutely love what we share at the Copy Accelerator event in Vegas. It's very much tactical kind of information like this that you can actually implement and put into practice right away and start making money. If you're a business owner, you pretty much have to be there because the number of big players in the room, from Agora Financial to V-Shred to Credit Secrets to 4Patriots to Natural Health Sherpa, all the biggest direct response companies in our industry are there. If you're a copywriter, I'm not even saying this because it's our event, but there's literally no better place to pick up clients because there are 10 to 15 direct response companies there, literally handing out jobs left and right because they need copywriters. So if you can find a way to get your ass out there, I would 100% recommend it because I don't know how many people last time left with 4 or 5 different gigs each, freelancers. So just the connections you get there is worth every single penny that you'd pay to come to the event. So
Yeah, just real quick, Justin, because one of the things we do is we did this last time, we're gonna do it again this time, is like something like we're like, hey, if you're a company looking to hire copywriters, or you're just looking to hire copywriters, can you stand up and tell us a little bit about yourself and what you're looking for? And we had like 12 or 15 people stand up, and they were like, we're here to hire copywriters. And then we had the copywriters stand up, and we were able to connect those people. And we actually have David Gonzalez, who a lot of you guys might know. He's one of our like connectors for our event, so he's going to be there. You can literally go to David and be like, hey, I'm looking to hire copywriters, or I'm like looking to get clients, and David will just connect you at the event to people. It's like the easiest way to find copywriters and to get copywriting jobs. And by the way, also Moni, who mentioned that she's already gotten 2 gigs since signing up for the event and gotten a return on the investment, and that the program's already changing everything for her. So how awesome is that?
Yeah, and one thing to note, when you join, if you join, like I said, the event is February 26th to 28th. We'll go over the nuts and bolts of it. February 26th to 28th in Las Vegas, at the Venetian Hotel. It is a 2.5-day event. We kick it off with a cocktail party the first night. You get to meet everyone there. If you're an introvert like me, Stefan and I have a policy at the cocktail party. If you want an introduction to anyone, you can come up and grab us, and we'll introduce them to you. As a super introverted person, I hate being in rooms and having to talk to people. So I'm going to take that burden off your shoulder and introduce you to anybody that you want. Yes, introverts unite. So yeah, it's a great offer for the introverts in the room. And then the next day is when day 1 kicks off. Stefan and I will be talking. We have a really great presentation going on the 8 biggest mistakes that prevent your offer from converting on cold traffic. Stefan is also going to share a presentation that's like 10 to 12 of like the biggest split test wins he's had over the last year. And we've actually outsourced some of those from our Copy Accelerator members as well. So these are the ones that literally you'd be able to like just steal them and implement them, which is going to be awesome. Jay Diebel, who is just crushing with an infomercial right now that he did with Larry King called Credit Secrets. They have an online component and an infomercial component, and Jay is a master at upsells. One of the few people I actually study their upsells because he's that damn good at it, and he's going to break down his whole upsell process on day 1. So all of that goes on day 1. Day 2, we have even more speakers. Tyler Bramlett, who's going to talk about how they're getting 1,500 to 3,000 customers a day through Facebook and email for their fitness and health company. Mark Stockman, Jeff Radich are going to talk about the 5 AOV boosters that they use literally every single day to acquire more customers than all their competitors. These guys are like bringing in thousands of customers a day. Who else am I forgetting? Krista Dodd. How can you forget Krista Dodd? Probably the best storyteller when it comes to copy. If you've read any of his VSLs in the biz op niche or the dating niche, the guy can tell a story like no other. And he's going to kind of break down his story and share exactly how he came up with his formula and how you can kind of replicate that in your sales copy. And then we have 2 traffic guys, 2 of the best guys we know, Matt Harmon, Jason Katasi. They are absolutely killing it. They both spend somewhere around, from what I know, about $100,000 a day on traffic. This is between things like Facebook and native. So Matt's going to be talking about native ads. The guy crushes it for tons of big ClickBank offers. He's like the man behind the scenes for a lot of these big ClickBank offers, helps scale them up. He's going to be sharing what's working on native. Jason Katasi has a huge range of experience with offers on Facebook from, I don't know, 10, 15 different niches. He's going to share what's kind of working for him right now. So that's the lineup of the speakers. It's a pretty damn loaded and packed lineup of speakers. The tickets for the event, like I said, it is by application only. You can't just buy a ticket. You have to apply. But since you're kind of on this call, it shows you're probably a damn good fit to be there. You basically just have to do a call with Blake from our team. Blake's going to ask you a few questions. We just make sure, because this is the actual event for our mastermind, so we want to make sure everybody in the room is kind of at a certain level. It's not a bunch of biz op freebie seekers that are trying to infiltrate the mastermind and and ruin the experience. So that's the event. The tickets are $29.50 for one ticket. If you buy more than one ticket, you can get a discount on the second one. So if you want to bring a business partner, if you want to bring a copywriter, if you want to bring a media buyer, if you want to bring a marketer from your team, pretty highly recommended that you do that. One thing Stefan and I have noticed, literally all the most successful people at this event who are in our group bring as many people as possible. Mark Stockman and Jeff Radich, who run Natural Health Sherpa, which is probably one of the biggest players in the health space right now, have 8 different people in our mastermind and bring every single one of them to the event. And there's a reason they do that, because they see the value, the benefit that their team gets from it. So highly recommend that if you are a business owner, feel free to bring copywriters, bring marketers, that type of thing, because the ROI you're going to get from it is huge. Josh, how many people total will be at the event? The room only fits 200, and there's no way for us to make it bigger. So once the seats are gone, just kind of like our Austin event, we actually said this for the Austin event, and some people didn't believe us. They just thought we were having fake scarcity, and then the seats sold out and there were no seats left. So same thing for this event. I would say right as of now, I don't know, what do you think? There's maybe 50, 40 spots left, if that?
Yeah, something like that. But I know there's a couple, like I know Ryan Saplin's buying 4 tickets on February 2nd or 3rd, whatever the first Monday in February is. And we still have like, I don't know, 20 plus people in the application place where Blake has got a call scheduled with him over the next week. So again, not trying to create a whole bunch of scarcity, but like we already have, there's probably another 20 of those tickets to 25 that are going to get sold in the next few days beyond that.
So there's probably 100, 150 people coming as of now. And I would say realistically, maybe 30 seats left at this point.
Also, Eric did ask if there's a place for people in the real estate niche, like for both traditional and DR side, like for high ticket coaching. And yeah, I would say absolutely. That's the thing. Like we showed a lot of health examples, but like at the end of the day, well, first of all, I mean, like Jay's doing like credit and finance stuff, which can tie into real estate. We've got members who are doing, more, I guess biz op, but not in the slimy way, but all the principles that you learn both from like advertising, scaling offers, scaling, and getting things to convert better, like those things apply to everything. So whether it's like, traditional real estate and like your mailers that you're doing, or it's like high ticket real estate, copy principles are universal. I own a call center and they're doing that on phone calls now. They're using copy principles to sell all kinds of stuff to people. So it is, yeah. And then Ryan Connolly said, if you're accepted into the Copy Accelerator Mastermind, you automatically have access to the event, correct? Yeah, that's correct. So our members get to come to our events at no additional cost, plus they get to bring one of their partners with them, or actually any of their partners with them at no additional cost as well.
Yep.
Yeah. Josh asked, would it be okay to apply for payment set up for my company? Yeah. And if approved, get payment made after. Yeah, definitely. And Eric asked for prepper people too, 100%. I think Alan's coming to this one, isn't he? Justin?
Yeah. So my old business partner is Alan Baylor, who runs 4 Patriots. Him and Paul Norwine, who's their head of marketing. They are the biggest company in the prepper niche. I don't know what they are now, but I would say probably a 40 to $50 million company, somewhere in there. They will be at the event. They would be a great person to connect with if you're in the prepper niche. So how much is the investment for Cop? So the Copy Accelerator program is $30,000 for the year. The event to sit in on is $29.50. That's $2,950. So it's about a tenth of the price. It's really, you get to come if you want to come and just hang out, meet people, learn, and then leave and not join the program. That's perfectly fine. If if you want to come join the program later, that's great. Really, it's a chance for you to see what the mastermind is like, to meet people, to really experience what Stefan and I can do for you and how we can help you. That's really the whole point of the event.
John asked how many events are there within the year and the mastermind. So yeah, I mean, there's like two, right now, like we do 2 events per year for our mastermind. We obviously we're doing tickets for this one, and we did do tickets for the last one. We're talking pretty seriously about potentially switching to like not doing, don't quote me, I don't know, but we may not do tickets for our second event of this year, like that are for the public. And then in 2021, we may do one big event, but that would be in September of 2021. So it's like a year and a half away. So it kind of, ideally, if you can make it to this one, you should. And, on top of that, yeah, I'm definitely be drinking White Claws with Van Stanley. So that question is just like a given. Ian's coming to he's actually coming as Cam's partner. So that's fair. And then you said Mike Geary's coming too, right? He texted you that he was in, Justin?
Yeah, we had some late big name additions, Alan Baylor and Mike Geary, just said they're coming. Mike, who literally never goes to any events ever. Yeah, so the OG of the fitness niche, and literally probably one of the smartest internet marketers. Yep, the Truth About Abs guy. Probably the smartest internet marketer I know. He will be there as well. So one thing I want to show you. So we mentioned we were going to give you guys a bonus free gift. I'm going to share that with you now on the screen. So basically before midnight tonight, Pacific time, we will call it midnight Pacific time. If you apply to come to the event, not only are you going to get so based on the call last week, we gave away the recordings from our last mastermind event, which is pretty insane. I mean, you get Stefan's talk breaking down a bunch of his winning copy, my talk on getting an offer working on cold traffic, Adam Feldman, Rudy Maurer, Matt Harmon, all on Facebook compliance. Biggest conversion boosters panel that we did, guys talking about their biggest wins. Nick Daniel from V-Shred, how they went from 0 to $100 million. This was one of the talks that we got the most feedback on. People loved it. Jordan Hall, Upsell Ninja, broke down his entire upsell thing and how he gets 53% take rate on his upsells. Allison Carpio, who just crushes quiz funnels for Natural Health Sherpa, broke down her entire how they do all their quiz funnels and acquire thousands of customers a day. Ed Ray, the 19-year-old copywriting, whiz kid, who is Dan Locke's head copywriter. This guy cranks out more ads than, anybody I know with Facebook. So he broke down how they're doing Facebook ads, what's working for them, and still keeping it compliant. So that was the mastermind event in September. You're going to get a copy of that. And then on top of it, we're giving you an even bigger bonus this time. This is the actual recordings from Stefan's Las Vegas copywriting intensive. This was a $12,500 event. There was 55 people in the room who all paid that much money to attend. Literally some of the, like I said, the biggest direct response companies in the world were there. And Stefan basically wooed everybody for 3 days, revealing the RMBC system and exactly how he pumps out such winning copy at such a fast rate. That's probably the most impressive thing to me. The fact that he can write a sales letter that works in like 3 or 4 days is insane. But after seeing him kind of teach the people in Copy Accelerator this and me learning it from him personally, I now understand. Like I said, I'm a Kool-Aid drinker of the RMBC method now. So anyways, yeah, that is, like I said, worth $12,500. It's literally what everyone paid to go to that. And you get a copy of that as well. If you sign up, if you apply to come to the event before midnight Pacific time tonight. So there is a deadline on it, but that will be yours to keep. Stefan, anything you want to add?
One thing, yeah, I keep putting the link in just because of like the chat going. I'm not trying to like spam you guys, but one thing I would encourage is, even if you're kind of on the fence, or you're thinking like, you want to go but you have to check dates or anything like that, then I would still just apply right now. It takes like 30 seconds. It doesn't take a long time to apply. Because like if you can apply and then you end up getting the tickets, then you'll get these bonuses. So I'd rather you just lock in kind of like an application, and then you can kind of figure out after. Talk to Blake. Like Blake's pretty flexible. I think if you have questions, like he's a good person to answer for that when you talk with him too. Manuel asked if you're already in. If you're already in, Manuel, you do. We'll make sure you get that too. Don't worry. But yeah, I'd say like just like do the application, and that way like you can get this stuff if you do end up getting a ticket for it.
Cool.
Frankly,
Anyone have?
I'm pumped.
Yeah. By the way, anyone have questions on the event specifically? Steph and I will keep talking, but if you have questions on it, we'll kind of dive into it. Like I said, if you're a business owner, you have to be there. There's events that business owners just send their employees to. This is not one of those events. I had a full conversation about this with Mark Stockman after the last one. He's like, a lot of these events I just send a couple of my people to, and they take notes for me. And he's like, I'm super glad I came to this one because being able to meet the people that he met there, like it's the top business owners from the direct response niche, all there mingling, get to hang out with them, share, exchange ideas, talk about what's working, what's not working. So making those types of connections for the business owner is huge. And like I said, if you're a freelancer or if you're an employee, a lot of the employees that do go get their bosses to pay for it. Whether you have kind of like an allowance that you can kind of pay for that with, or you're just like, hey, this is going to be super valuable and it's going to make you a bunch more money. You should definitely send me to go there. Something like this, to learn from Stefan and I and to learn from these people in a group of like less than 200 people. You compare that to something like TNC or all the other like big events that there's 7,000 people at. This is a much more intimate environment and you get kind of more one-on-one and more connection with everybody. So huge value. And then like we said, for the freelancers, it really is a no-brainer if you're a freelancer. There's no better way to get clients than at live events. I've been preaching this for years. It was my sole strategy when I was a freelance copywriter, is picking up clients at live events. And there will be 10 to 15 direct response companies here hiring copywriters for sales pages, for emails, for Facebook ads, for autoresponders, all of that stuff, literally at the event. So if you're a freelancer and you don't walk out of there with at least 2 to 3 gigs, that means you hid in the corner or stayed in your room and didn't talk to anybody, because there will be gigs falling into your lap.
And even then, if you just tell us like, hey, like I'm really looking for gigs, or you tell David Gonzalez who's there or whatever, like we'll force you to talk to somebody and kind of help to facilitate that. That's the biggest thing. Even at the opening night kind of cocktail party reception thing we do, which we're doing again this time, we did in Austin. Like I literally went around and to everybody I talked to, it was like, what's the number one thing you're looking for at this event? Like, what's your big takeaway that would make it, you're coming here the most worthwhile thing ever. And then whatever people told me, I made a mental note. And like the whole time I was just trying to make sure that happened for every single person. So really you get that. You can come to us, you tell us, this is what I'm looking for, this is what I need, and we will help you to get that at the event. Michael said, what kind of results these companies want to see at these gigs? It really just depends. I mean, if you're talking about kind of your track record, it's just like, I think most companies will hire pretty much, they'll try out almost anybody, a lot of the big ones especially. I mean, assuming that your rates aren't like crazy. If you, seem like knowledgeable and you have a good kind of track record, you'll have an opportunity. I mean, if you've never written a piece of copy ever before, then we can talk about that and I can give you some strategies for maybe what you need to do first. But like in general, if you have like, if you're competent at what you do in things, then like, you definitely have the opportunity to get hired.
Yep. John asked, is Rob, the mastermind a 30K investment up front, and how long is that for? So yeah, just to be clear, if you want to join the mastermind fully for the entire year, it's 30K investment. That can be paid monthly, which we offer that as well. To come to the event though, like I said, the event itself is just $2,950. So $2,950. And then if you want to bring multiple people to the event, it's a little cheaper for the next 1 or 2 people that you bring.
Yeah. And for the mastermind, like, 1 month of the mastermind is $2,950. So, but like you actually we're going to put you into the Copy Accelerator mastermind for the whole like month leading up to the event when you buy a ticket. I don't know if we've even mentioned that, but it's a huge like benefit. Some of the people who already have been in there have like messaged me like, holy shit, like the Facebook group alone where we're doing copy feedback, critiques and stuff, like you're getting like live or not live, like usually same day feedback on your copy from Justin and I, and you get access to like a bunch of the resources, the old call recordings, the copy jobs board. We have all kinds of stuff too. So literally like you could buy a ticket to this event, get to like test drive Copy Accelerator for an entire month leading up to the event and get access to everything. And then yes, John, partners can come too. Yeah.
We'll show that as part of the, as you can see here. So we have the Austin Mastermind, we have the Stefan's copy thing. These are all the stuff that is in the membership site. So Tried and True is a Facebook ad agency that runs basically for all the biggest direct response companies on Facebook. They do compliance calls. We have all these calls in here. Q&As that we did with guests like Krista Dodd and stuff talking about copy. We have these that are copywriting business strategy that Stefan and I did for the freelancers, talking about how to get clients, how to charge higher fees to clients, how to do royalties, how to do performance-based deals. These videos are all in the membership area. We did 4 calls literally on the biggest conversion boosters we know. That were things from checkout pages to timer buttons to mobile optimized stuff. This stuff was just super invaluable. You could literally make millions of dollars just going through that thing. Email copy, we just started doing this about a month ago. So basically my method for writing emails that work for affiliates and also on cold traffic, you have access to all that. These are all the sales copy ones that we've done on everything from leads to fascinations to closes to Stefan's RMBC. Just we kind of have a little section here where it's like, if you want to find just the 9 most important videos that we have, like here's the ones we would go through first. Super, super valuable. I don't even know how much all of this would be worth, but it's a lot. If I was doing the Russell Brunson stack up the prices and showing you how much it was worth, it would be a lot of money. But you get access to all that leading up to the event. So anybody that comes to the event gets access to all of that. And then you also get access to the high paying copy jobs group. So if you're a freelancer, we have a specific group where Stefan and I post copywriting jobs in for the people in Copy Accelerators. So, I mean, there's big jobs in there. There's jobs from people like Primal Health, from VShred, Agora Financial. It goes on and on. And then there's stuff for emails. There's stuff for landers. There's stuff for pre-sale pages. Basically, every job that Stefan and I get hit up on that him and I don't have time to do, we post in there for our members, and they usually take them up on it. So
we just got hit up today too for from somebody for one of their clients has a director of marketing position open. It's a full-time job, remote position, solid company, and we got to post that in the jobs board later today. But like we're getting hit up all the time with people who are looking for hires, mostly for copy, but even like some cool other stuff too. And then, I mean, it's like, I don't know if I want to show the Facebook group or not, but like, it's just ridiculous how active our Facebook group is. Yeah, man.
Probably the biggest thing in there is that you get real feedback from Stefan and I on stuff you're working on. So it could be copy you're working on. If you're thinking of, hey, I'm thinking of creating this product, what do you guys think of going that way versus this way? One of the biggest things we do for a lot of people is save them 8 months of misery, because they're like, oh, I'm going to put together this product, and Stefan and I are like, oh, we don't think that's a good idea. And that doesn't have a huge like money value that we could show to people, but it's like that saves you so much. I mean, one of the worst things you can do in this industry is pump out a mediocre offer that just doesn't go anywhere. We save a lot of people from that. So you'll see the page. I'll make one last kind of note of this. So this is the sales page for the mastermind. You can read all about it on there, see all the details, what it's all about, who's speaking, who's going to be there. There's a bunch of pictures and stuff from our last one. I'm sure a lot of you have seen the page already. It's linked in the chat. I'm just going to scroll down to the bottom and show you where to click. You'll see a big orange button that says click here to apply for a seat at the mastermind. Like I said, you do need to apply. It'll take you over this application. You fill out the application. And then once you submit it, you'll book a call on Calendly with Blake from our team. Blake will do a 15-minute call with you, see if you're a good fit. If you're a good fit, we will get you a ticket, and you will be joining us in Las Vegas, February 26th to the 28th. Anything you want to add, Steph?
Yeah, it's at the Venetian. We've got just awesome stuff planned, like the opening kind of open bar cocktail reception the first night, which is like where you'll just meet with so many people, business owners, other copywriters, Justin and myself, obviously. Then after that, there's 2 full days between Justin and I presenting and live speakers. And then at the end of the last day, we'll even have like a wrap up party, which we're looking at running like a ridiculous mansion. We have a couple we're looking at, and we'll have basically that one's really fun. We did at the end of Austin, and I thought people would be burned out kind of because it's like, well, several days, but everyone came. We rented like a house there, and it was like a blast. So we'll have plenty of White Claws. I don't know about a Fat Tuesdays machine. I can't say no. Yeah. So basically, the first night party is like the night of the 26th, and then you've got full days on the 27th and 28th, and another party on the night of the 28th too. And the night of the 28th, again, it's like we'll a house, everyone's just chilling. Like that's even like the most, because like the end of the event, so like you really want to just kick in and talk for like 30 minutes about copy or whatever. I mean, that's the situation, the time to do it. This is a really great chance to spend a bunch of time with both Justin and I, but also all of the high level people who are going to be there and who are in the mastermind. And again, just apply if you're not. If you're like, if you think, if you're not going to come, then don't apply, right? Why waste your time? But if you're like, well, I'd like to come, but I think like, I'm not sure about the dates, or maybe I like want to make sure that I want to make the investment, whatever, and I get that, I would still apply right now, because like that way you can get access to all the stuff we've shared, if you do buy a ticket. So yeah.
Yep. And just one last reminder, to get all the bonuses and to have access to them ends at midnight tonight, Pacific time. So get the application in before midnight tonight. You're not gonna be able to buy your ticket before midnight tonight, but you have to have your application in by then, and then we will follow up and make sure you get all that stuff to keep. So cool. That wraps up. Thank you guys for hanging around with us. I hope this was valuable for you guys. It seemed like it was. Steph and I will probably be doing a few more of these calls leading up to the event. So hope to see you back on those. And just a quick reminder, like I said, midnight tonight, Pacific time, fill out the application. You can see everything at copyacceleratormastermind.com. Yeah. All right, guys. Take care.
All right. Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.